Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar here at Online Darts with myself, Jack Garwood, and Mr. Cam McFarlane. Cam, how are we doing, mate?
I'm doing well, mate. I've just been sat here preparing the old smug face for this evening. So I told everybody.
Smug face? Why?
I told everybody last week that Nathan Aspinall would win this week.
Oh.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, mate.
Some of us were on our way to Reading. That's a lie. I went to watch a Mario movie last week. I went to Reading on Friday morning. But, yeah, Sam, good job, mate. Well done. Good evening to everybody in the chat room. To Jack, who says, evening all. Good night at darts. Crowd were pretty harsh on some. United were dreadful, but at least good night at snooker and darts. Yeah, couldn't agree more, which is brilliant all around. Bye-bye Sean Murphy. Bye-bye Manchester United. Almost as good as that Coventry equaliser the other night, Cam. Matthew says...
Bye everyone. I'm going.
Mate, if you're going to sit here and brag about Aspinall, I've got to get in there somehow.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I
should have just let Dan do this.
It was definitely on ball though, 100%. Although, as one of the lads said last night when we were playing our darts match last night, he said, "Well, the goalkeeper is the only one that's allowed to use his hands in the box." I was like, "Yes, but not in our box."
Yeah, fair point. But I lag you. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody, this evening. Bob's in as well. Good to see you, buddy. Time to go over the Premier League night from Rotterdam. First of all, opinions on the night as a whole,
Cam? Well, it was all right. It wasn't like, I don't know. It felt like the standard was maybe not quite what we've seen. Although, I say that, I mean, it's probably just because Gezzy's only averaged about 102 and 100 in his first two games and not 116 and 108. So maybe that's been a little bit harsh, but I thought it was good. I thought it was the first sort of round of games. There were some bits that we kind of probably expected and went the way you'd think, and then obviously a couple of probably upsets as well from what we've seen recently. But all in all, I thought it was a decent night of darts. There was obviously a little bit of moaning going on from a certain man in orange tonight, and yeah, I don't know what to really make of that, because if you're still averaging over a ton, it can't be making that much of a difference, really, can it?
Yeah, I mean, according to our very reliable stats page that we use for all of our Premier League content, this is the lowest average since night 8, Newcastle. Which, again, had a...
You've got to factor into that, though. We've had some outrageous performances from one player that are going to skew the stats a little bit.
Yeah.
And that probably coincided. Those nights that you're talking about there is probably... Well, that's the last 4 weeks when he's been playing by far the best of anyone. So the fact that he wasn't quite at his best tonight, although still played very well, I think is probably just the difference there, to be fair.
Yeah, 4 averages below the 90 mark tonight, a couple around that 90 exactly. Aspinall, Van Gerwen, Dimitri as well. A couple of ton toppers, Johnny Clayton, Gerwen, Price, Gezzy doing it twice in the end. Let's go through the matches as we do in order then, starting with Johnny Clayton against Chris Dobey. Again, Dobey producing a solid enough level, but in those killer little moments, it's just not going the way of Chris Dobey right now, is it?
No, it's not. And the problem is that when he's kind of just every week not quite doing enough. Like, if he played at the level he played for the last couple of weeks, he'd have won this game. But tonight, he's played still well, but still, again, slightly below what his opponent's doing. It's like he's almost getting carried along with how they're playing, and it's maybe giving him a bit of an edge in the scoring at times. But tonight, he didn't quite get going for me. I mean, we didn't see him at a 180, which is, for someone with the scoring power of Chris Dobey, is a little bit surprising. Yeah, he was quite good on the outer ring, to be fair, when he got an opportunity, but he just didn't get enough opportunities because he didn't score well enough. And it was one where I fancied him to win tonight. I thought he'd been playing well enough without getting results. And I thought Johnny was someone that he could probably go and beat tonight. That being said, the finishing from Johnny Clayton, 2 1-2-1s and a 1-2-4 was it in this one. Like, there's no better, like, 120 plus check out hitter.
Is the Clayton now?
Yeah,
like
it is.
the double 14 is the Mensah, the 156 is the Barney, the 138 is the Della, the 121 is the Clayton right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Anybody else?
He just never looks like he's going to miss it. It doesn't matter which way he goes, whether he's hit the treble 20 or not. You go, well, he'll hit the treble 17 if he doesn't hit it, and then if he misses the treble 11, he's just going to pin the ball in the middle anyway. So you might as well, just as soon as it gets to there, just call game, and we'll just go on to the next leg.
Just leave 1-2-1 and we'll give Johnny the leg.
Yeah, he just has to play down to 1-2-1. If he gets down to 1-2-1, it's his leg.
Tis a formality. We'll talk a bit more Johnny Clayton in a minute. I want to talk Chris Dobey because it doesn't look like he's going to reach the Final Four. Look, he's still 4 weeks to go in this Premier League campaign, etc. He's not mathematically out of it, but he is 7 points behind Johnny Clayton now in fourth. Might be fifth now. That hasn't updated yet. Shock. He is being cut adrift just a little bit, but he hasn't played badly. So if you're in the Chris Dobey camp, how do you tell him that? It's just like, if I'm Chris Dobey and I'm going looking for help, going, right, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't I winning these games? There's not really an answer there.
No. He's just not quite doing enough.
You need to get better with your timing, which is,
yeah,
you can't practice timing. You can't pick off when you're going to produce something sensational or come clutch in those key moments because they just unfold in front of you. He has not played badly at all this campaign.
No, he hasn't. He's played well, but he's just not picking up the points, is he? I mean, yeah, he's 9 points off Johnny now, and I've only got. I took a picture of the table when they flagged it up on Sky at the end, just because it's never updated when we're trying to find it and we need it at the point we do. But they haven't got the leg difference on there, so I don't know how much further he is behind on leg difference. But I assume that's probably quite a way off as well. So probably another point. So you're looking at he's got to win 2 nights really to even be in with the shot. So you got to think him and Wright are pretty much done now. I think they're kind of cut adrift and gone, and Dimmy's not far off either, to be fair.
Yeah, indeed. Right, let's move on. Let's talk about match number 2 this evening. That was between Gerwen, Price and Michael Smith, and the Iceman. You just can't stop him right now at times, and this felt like another one of those games. He did absolutely everything right against Michael Smith, who was only 3 from 15 on the outer ring. That really cost Bully Boy tonight, but Jazzy just keeps on rolling.
Yeah, like you said, he's just relentless at the moment, isn't he? He just doesn't stop. He just keeps coming at you, and even when you think the one thing that I really sort of noticed, and I think is probably the biggest thing, is that his timing with him, but the timing of the fact that he's pinging 180s to start legs so often that the pressure is just on the other player, whether it's on their throw or whether it's on his throw. The fact that he's starting leg with a 180 so many times, and there were only a couple, I think he had 3 in this first game. But against Johnny, I think he did it 3 legs in a row, and on one of those followed it up with another one as well, where he went 7 into the 9, but I'm getting ahead of us. That's in the next game. But I just think there's so much pressure on by him hitting those 180s to start every leg almost, it feels like at times, that you're just chasing him constantly and puts him under so much pressure. But yeah, I thought he was probably still a little bit there for the taking in this one, even though he's averaged 102 and played as he did. But like I say, Bully missed a lot of shots at times. Like there was a leg where they both missed a handful. I think Bully actually won that leg, to be fair, in the end. Not sure actually. Might have gone Price's way. It was early.
It's a long night.
Yeah, it was early on. It was a horror bit of finishing from both of them for a while. But yeah, clearly Bully, when he's been playing around at Flight Club this week in Vegas, has not been practicing one of the games on there where you do doubles at any point.
Trip to Flight Club, wins 12 grand, 4 stories in the Daily Star, forgets to practice his doubles.
Yeah, he's definitely just been playing the scoring games.
Yeah. hello to a few people in the chat room. Collins in, he says, evening Jack, evening Cam, hope you're doing well, mate. Matthew says, the worst I've seen MVG play for ages. We'll get on to him very, very soon. Sam says, MVG fell apart in front of his home crowd, concerning considering the big build-up he had. Still fragilities there. Bob says, there must have been a draft on the Oki as Price didn't look right in the final, but that same draft was apparently present throughout the entire evening, and he's averaged 100 and 102 in the other two games. So this has been a debate in our WhatsApp group with Phil, who is in Amsterdam, and a few others. And
draft or not, they're both playing in it, and I know people throw darts harder and it affects them differently depending on the weight, but Gezi throws his pretty hard, so I don't really think it's affecting whatsoever. I think he's just using it as an excuse every time he threw a bad dart, but then it was just in his head after that.
Yeah, we'll get onto that one soon. Paul says Nathan Aspinall deserved to win tonight. Great comeback from him. Jim says, hey guys, only predicted last week Aspinall win tonight. Yeah,
he did, Jerry.
Can't lie. Me, Phil, and Dan all sat here on Monday night saying that was it. We had 5 winners. The rest were going to be shared out between everybody else. I would like it to be known that I was the only one that backed against Van Gerwen this week. Thank you.
No, you won't.
On Monday's show.
No one watches that.
Well, no one watched you last week. Draft definitely got to Price the most he has a lighted heart. He averaged 100 102 first. I'm not buying it.
No.
Bob says Dobey will finish 7th or 8th in the Prem, and Paul says Gezi was on fire until the final one. Please, Nathan won after his rough week. Yes, on to match number 3, and talking about rough week, this was a rough watch. Dimitri Vandenberg getting over the line 6-3 against Peter Wright. As good as Peter Wright has looked the last couple of weeks, getting back to somewhere like the Peter Wright we know, this was Peter Wright first 4 weeks. It was tough to watch at times.
It was from both of them, to be honest. It was, me and Dan sat here last week and said this. We said it basically that there's the potential that either they both find it because they both know that this is a huge opportunity against someone else that's not in form and a chance to win a game, and a huge game really in terms of the loser of this. We basically wrote off and said they will be out at this point and they'll be done. But we also said there's also the possibility that because of that they have got the absolute a massive potential to stink the place out completely, and unfortunately it was that. But Dimmy kind of just did what he needed to do, and yeah, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't a great game, but 50% on the outer ring was pretty impressive from him, and despite not playing particularly well, he did enough and got over the line and just about probably keeps himself in with a shout of getting himself into the top 4, but he's going to have to do more than he did tonight, and he's going to have to go and win at least 1 week, probably 2.
Yeah, I mean, look, Peter Wright here is a dart away from us saying that his doubling percentage is very good as well. If you're at 40%, we're going to give you props there, and actually that's pretty steady. So, look, he's 3 from 10 here. That might change the game a little bit, but the fact they're both sat there with pretty acceptable doubling percentages, 50 and 30 in this short format, the scoring at times was dreadful. 43s, 28s. They just did not settle at all, these two.
No. 13 140s between them in 9 legs of darts. It's just not good enough, is it really? Like, but I know there's a lot on it and there's a lot riding on it, but yeah, it was pretty poor, wasn't it, for the most part?
Yeah, let's move on to the main event of the night, or what was billed as that. Michael Van Gerwen's opportunity to play in front of a home crowd in Rotterdam. However, taken out by the Nathan Aspinall in a battling performance, 6-5 in the end. Props to Nathan Aspinall there, because we'll talk about this a bit more in the end, but just to return to the Oki and win this match in front of that crowd after last week's results, Peter Wright, is massive.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, he threw one away last week that he should have cruised to winning, and was clearly struggling. Pulled out at the weekend and didn't play, and sort of, along with most of the field, I think tonight. Did anyone actually play in Wigan last weekend? It seemed like everyone pulled out.
Wright, Smith, Price, and Van Gerwen were all absent.
Yeah, and Aspinall. Yeah, so, but it was clearly the right thing for him to do and just have a little bit of a break and sort of reset a little bit, and he just did what he had to do here. It was just out battle Van Gerwen, which I said this last week, and I don't really want to blow my own trumpet, but I'm going to do. I do. I absolutely do. I called this exactly as it went. I said, Michael Van Gerwen, I don't really fancy him in front of his home crowd in Rotterdam. He tries too hard. I don't think we've seen him play particularly well there at any point. Every time it's sort of like he's trying to go out there and average 150 and just play the best darts anyone's ever seen because he's at home in front of an incredible sort of support that he's got behind him when he goes there. And he just puts too much pressure on himself and just seems to struggle. And then he averages mid-low 90s. And if you do that against Nathan, he's going to scrap and probably beat you.
Yeah, I mean, look, the rest of the field won't appreciate that performance from Van Gerwen, just allowing Aspinall that chance. If Van Gerwen rocks up, bangs in 95, 96, the way that Aspinall played last week, I don't think he gets a chance to battle into that, especially from 4-2 up, slips back to 4 apiece. At that point, you're thinking, this is Van Gerwen's all day. There's still fragilities in the Aspinall throw and the way that he's approaching the game. But are we concerned about Van Gerwen now? Because he started this campaign blisteringly, right? And he's accumulated the odd couple of points since. But since he basically told us he was there week 5, week 6, it's been very mediocre.
No, I'm not concerned. He's done enough. He's into the final 4. That's basically wrapped up at this point. Technically, he can still end up out of it, but it's just not going to happen, is it? There's him and Price are away and gone now. And I think he's comfortably getting there. And when he turns to finals night, we know how good he is on finals night in the Premier League. I still think he's playing pretty well. Like, I think, obviously, he didn't play particularly well tonight, but last week he played fairly well. I'm not concerned, really, no.
I mean, just the concern is that, well, from my point of view, is that he's just lost his concentration a bit. And the Van Gerwen of old could coast through these games, especially when it was one game a night as well. You could rock up, you could still have a decent chance of winning the match. But when it's 3 games on one night and you're giving players chances to get one over on you and get a result over you, etc., it's the same let everybody back in and let everybody back into form that everybody did to Michael when he was struggling 2020, 2021.
Yeah, maybe, but no, no. I just think he's gonna be there on finals night. He's gonna avoid Price in the first round. Well, not the first round, you know what I mean, the semi-finals. I think he'll be just fine, and I think he's still close to being favourite for this, if not favourite for it.
Even in the form of Gerwen Price?
Yeah, just because, I mean, Gerwen Price has never even rocked up on finals night in the Premier League before. He's never been there.
Staggering, absolutely staggering.
Which is nuts, utterly mental, and I don't really think that will phase him one bit when he turns up there, because he's basically guaranteed his spot there as well. But I just think that MVG knows how to win it up there, and he's probably just on history, you maybe still just about making favourite. I think on form certainly he gets his favourite, but yeah, I think if you were writing up the markets yourself, I think you'd have MVG very close, if not the favourite still.
Interesting. On to the semi-finals this evening then, and talking of form, this matchup has been very one-sided of late. Gerwen Price again defeats his World Cup teammate Johnny Clayton, this time 6-1. 100 average for Gezi, pretty solid from him. 6 from 11 on the outer ring, 6 180s from the Iceman in just 7 legs of darts. The contrast to this, just an 88 average from Johnny Clayton. Didn't get anywhere near the level of performance he produced against Chris Dobey in the first round. And Gerwen Price is difficult enough to beat at the minute when you're playing well, but when you drop a performance like this against him, it's just not going to go very well for you.
No, it's not. And obviously, Gezi went 2-0 up fairly quickly in this. Then Johnny broke back, and you thought, is he sort of back into this? But then that was where the run started, where Gezi started 3 legs in a row with a 180, the third of which he then went 7 perfect into the 9, and he just never let Johnny get into it. Like, it was just from that point on, it was just he was nowhere near really. I think other than the last leg maybe where he got a couple of darts at double. Other than that, he barely even got the shot for those next few legs, and it was just one of those legs where I think if he'd been able to back up the break and get himself back to 2 each, it could have been a very different game. But then
if he establishes a foothold in the game, then he's got a chance. But too many times, like I said, Gezzy's banging in the maximums, and Johnny's first score is an 80 something, and at that point you're 100 behind and giving up the ghost to a player who is scoring and playing as well as Gerwen Price is right now, and it's just not going to go your way.
No, it's just really not. And like I said, that's exactly the point. I think it was a 12 darter from Gezzy in that 4th leg against the darts, and yeah, so you can't. It's not really like Johnny did anything wrong, but he was not really anywhere near either. He'd thrown 12 and was on 134, I think, or something.
The number that kept getting thrown around was how many 12 dart legs or 4 visit legs, or how many opportunities Gerwen Price is leaving for a 4 visit leg. Now, at that point, if that's on your throw, you have to hit a 9. Well, you could hit a 12. That's on his throw. You've got to hit a 9 just to beat it. Like, it doesn't matter if you average 88 there or 104 at that point.
No.
If he's throwing 12 dart legs on his own throw, you have to throw a 9.
Yeah. Especially if you're against the throw, you're really struggling. But yeah, it was just that he just didn't really have that gear there, and in that leg, yes, all right, yes, he's thrown as well darted, yeah, but he wasn't after 12. Johnny's looking at still a big ton plus checkout that needs 2 trebles to have a shot at taking it out in 15, which isn't going to get it done. If he's sat on a double at that point, or he's sat on a comfortable finish to get it done in less than 15, you'd be thinking, all right, maybe there's a bit more pressure on Price, and maybe that tops doesn't go in at the end of the 82. But yeah, there was just no pressure on him really at all, and he's just not quite scoring well enough to live with him. I mean, he hit 5 140s in 7 legs and no 180s. That was his real issue here. It wasn't anything else other than the fact that he just wasn't really able to live with Gezzy's scoring.
Indeed, into the second semi-final of the evening, and it was Dimitri Vandenberg against Nathan Aspinall. Neither player particularly set the world alight in their quarterfinals. However, solid performance here from Nathan Aspinall, 6 from 13 on the outer ring, including a 1-2-6 checkout, 99.2 average, including 2 maxims. Scoring wise, it seemed pretty level in this one, but it just come down to those fine margins on the outer ring.
Yeah, it did, and that was the difference really. I mean, they're fairly similar, and if you have a look at the stats, sort of, they had the same number of ton plus visits. One more 180 for Dimmy. Actually, it was probably slightly surprising the way Nathan was throwing at times in this, but yeah, it was just the finishing was the real difference, and Nathan kind of set the tone with that in leg 1 with the 1-2-6, just to get himself off the mark and give him a lead. And it just always felt like Dimmy was just sort of just chasing him from then on, because he went on to break him in leg 2 as well to go 2 in front, and it just seemed like Dimmy was always just playing catch up a little bit in this one, and Nath obviously had the advantage of the throw as well. So even if it had gone tight, I think just that pressure on Dimmy not playing quite at his best and having to sort of knowing he needs not just 1 break to get back in it, but he's got to break him twice to go on and win it. Maybe it was just a little bit too much for him, but really solid from Nathan, like 100 average, basically not far off, 99 point something. It was just sort of really, really steady and take a lot of beating that really. So I actually thought Dimmy looked like he played all right in this. He looked played a bit quicker as well. A bit more like we kind of always seem to think he should really, because he just looks a better player when he plays faster. But it just didn't quite work for him, and just like I say, just really solid, just exactly what he needed to do from there.
Where are we on the Vandenberg game right now?
He's still clearly struggling. He's still nowhere near his best because we know what he's best, especially over these sort of shorter form matches. He can easily average 105, 110. Like he clearly has that game, and he's just not quite there for him. And I don't.
Why do you think that is? Is it lack of confidence? Is it just a lack of form? Is it the criticisms that have been quite vocal about his style of play previously and wanting him to be this much more exciting? Is it just the environment and how tough a Premier League campaign can be?
I think it's probably that. I think we all kind of thought when the lineup came out that he was lucky to be in there. He hasn't really done a lot outside of the run at the Worlds, which ended horrendously anyway.
World Series events early last season, didn't he? But
yeah, but like then he obviously got to the semi-final of the World, but then he got absolutely demolished, like, which probably didn't help his confidence, to be honest. Like, biggest game, well, maybe not biggest game of his career, I don't know. Obviously he's won a World Match Play. He's yeah, I don't know whether I'd say big game of his career, but close to it. It's a World semi-final. Like, it's a huge game, and to get beat 6-0 is some battering. So yeah, I don't know whether that's sort of played against him a little bit. Then you've got the I don't know, we're calling it the Patrick Cantlay factor now of not playing fast enough. It seems that is the new thing. But yeah, I do think he plays better when he plays faster. That's the thing, though. So generally, we see him look better and play better when it is, but then he's not getting the results. So does he need to go back to taking a minute over a 4-foot putt, essentially?
I guess the way to weigh it up is, does the amount that we perceive that he gets better when he plays quicker outweigh the drop-off that we see from opponents when he plays slower?
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, and at the end of the day, performances mean absolutely jack shit. It's results. It's a results business. So maybe he does need to do that, and maybe he just needs to stick two things up to everyone and say, basically like Cantlay, who's just owned it and said, no, I play slow and I always have done, but it's what works for me, so I'm going to do it.
But if he rocks up and does that against Nathan Aspinall in Leeds next week, he might get a bit of a reception.
Oh, he will. He will absolutely get a reception. Also, I think if there's one person it really wouldn't phase, it's Nathan, because he, if anything, was slower tonight and more deliberate and sort of took his time a little bit more. And we know, obviously, he now will just flat out refuses to release a dart unless it's perfect in his hand. But it works. And like, it doesn't look good, but the number of times that he hits the treble or hits the double after re-gripping multiple times and letting it go, it works.
I mean, it worked tonight. As we move on to the final, as you said, he did settle himself in 97 average for the Aspinall final, 6-4 victory over Gerwen Price, 6 from 8 on the outer ring from Aspinall, despite the fact Gezi bought himself 14 darts at a double, but only converted 4 of them. There's a couple of sides to this. One is the pace and the stability of Nathan Aspinall, and there is that he wasn't letting go of a dart that wasn't setting his hand properly. And after last week, fair play to him, because it's clearly scarred him a little bit mentally. The second one is the complete shift in mentality from Gerwen Price here. The first again, as I said, 100, 102. We're aware that there was wind up on stage. If it's changed dramatically between the two performances previously and then the final, I'll be very, very surprised. Like, from what we've been told, the fire doors were being open to let people in and out, etc., and that was causing a draft. But all the players complained about, all the players got on with it. But at that point, when you've been the best player on the night in those conditions, to suddenly drop off by 14 points in the averages, as he basically has done right here, I'm not buying that that's completely in the wind. You've done something up here. And I also, Look, fair play to Gezi for acknowledging that he does have an issue with crowds and trying to get people back on side and changing his shirt for the last few weeks and whatever. I don't think that had as big an effect in Rotterdam tonight as he was hoping.
No, it didn't. And yeah, I think the absolute ideal scenario for him was that Michael Van Gerwen got beat in the first round as well, because he's up there playing in his orange shirt, and once Michael Van Gerwen's out, he's thinking, right, they're all going to be on my side here. And they weren't. I mean, I don't think there was a lot either way, to be honest, in the final. There was the odd bits of booze if there were a couple of missed doubles, but nothing particularly. It certainly wasn't partisan in either way. The thing for me with Gezi here, and it was petulant and it was childish and it was just downright crap from him. He threw so many darts away. Like the last dart of a visit where he just kept throwing them away because he wasn't playing particularly well. It was just rubbish, just absolutely rubbish. And I just thought it was terrible to watch. It was a horrible attitude that he had.
That's the Gezi of old that has never made the finals of the Premier League.
Yeah, it was. It was completely. It's all in his head about the wind, and yeah, whether it's there or not, he throws his darts pretty hard. It's not making that much of a difference. Like you're not throwing them. It's not a javelin. You're not throwing it 70, 80, 90 meters. It's not going to go off that far on the wind. Like it's going to move a millimeter or so, if anything.
It has played a significant effect on the flight of his darts. If it happens to me, I'd be absolutely raging. But the thing that I keep going back to is the level of performance from the first two games.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't making that much of a difference.
I can't see how you can drop off that majorly in the same conditions and it be the conditions' fault.
Because it wasn't. It's because he wasted his last dart on 90% of his visits because he was being a child.
Interesting.
He did though. How many times did he do it? There's so many like 7s and 5s and just ridiculous single 20s where he still had a pretty good lie on the treble 20, but he was throwing it that fast, that last dart, that like he's not even set himself properly and just throwing it away.
Yeah, I mean, banged in the 140 checkout, which was superb. Let Nathan know about it as well. Nice little sporting moment, the laugh, the little... And at 2-1 up with that going in, you're like, here we go, absolute steamrolling coming in.
Oh, I honestly thought that
did not materialise.
I was sort of in my head thinking what we were going to say on here. At that point when that went in, I thought, Gezi probably goes on and wins this quite comfortably. And then I'm going to say, does Nathan need to stop being so bloody nice up there and giving everyone a fist bump every time they do something big and smiling and laughing along, and needs to just be a bit more like, no, actually, I'm
2-1 down. My exact thought was, don't fist bump him, snarl at him and go and get him back.
But no, it's just Nathan, and he's just who he is, and he's just a nice bloke at the end of the day. And he if someone does something good, he gives it them. But he just, it's one of them, isn't it? He just goes, you beat me because you play better, fair enough. But if you do something good, fair play, I'll give you a fist bump. But then I'm still just going to go up there and I'm going to try and do something better myself in the next leg. So.
Yeah, let's talk the Aspen. A winner for the first time in this campaign with that 6-4 victory over Gerwen Price, 6 from 8 on the outer ring in the final. Just solid numbers he was putting up once again. Interesting post-match interview. I'm not sure who Sean is, but it's a gentleman that Nathan Aspinall met on Friday after the Premier League in Brighton last week. Said he's helped him massively with the mental aspect of the game. Obviously took a break last weekend after the nature of the defeat to Peter Wright last week. Now, I don't think, apart from you lucky git, there were many that were backing Aspinall to go on to win a week from last week's position.
No. And definitely not many that were backing him to win this week.
Sneaking to fourth, maybe, keep picking up first round wins or a couple of semi-finals, but to go on and win a week, I'm not sure there were many out there backing it. And despite the success for Nathan Aspinall tonight, I am still incredibly concerned about him.
Just because of the action?
Because of the action. Because of the action. The fact he's seeking help on it and having to have that break. And look, to come back and play the way he did tonight, superb. You cannot fault it. To battle against Van Gerwen in front of a home crowd like that, then take out Dimitri, then go on to win the final in a format where he's not been able to convert semis into finals throughout this entire campaign. He's done it once. To go on and take out the most informed player in the final while he's capitulating around you and just keep your head in that was brilliant from Nathan Aspinall. The way he left the stage after the first game against Van Gerwen, he looked like he was ready to break down again, despite the fact he won. There was a look he gave when he walked off, as if like he was about to walk off and be in tears.
Yeah,
Because
but I think you've read
him right now.
I think you've read that the wrong way, though. I don't think that was down to that. I think it was tears of the fact that it was a huge result, and it was against with everything against him, with the crowd and everything like that. I think he was just it was like tears of joy rather than tears of I'm struggling here. I don't think there's any issue with his action whatsoever. It's the fact it's not the action. The action's fine once he actually throws the dart. It's getting it right in his hand is what he's struggling with, and actually being able to let it go. But I mean, it is the right thing to do, is not let it go if you're not comfortable with him, he's not in the right spot. And that's why I'm less concerned about it, because I don't think it's that he can't physically let go of the dart. It's that I'm not letting go of it unless I know it's going to go where I want it to go.
I'm concerned it's a mixture of both. And that
Possibly.
line will become very, very blurry, very, very quickly. He might start thinking it's not in the hand, right? Or searching for something that isn't there in those pressure moments. Possibly. I don't feel there was an awful lot of pressure on Nathan Aspinall tonight. If there was on any, it was what he put on himself.
Yeah.
But if we see this Aspinall in his current mindset, despite the fact he's turned it around in a week, which is an incredibly short period of time to have done so, by the way, for an issue that's been ongoing for a long, long time.
I was going to say, it's not new, though. That's the thing. This isn't new for him. Like, he's been doing this for a while now, and I'll be honest, since he's been doing it, he's playing as well as he's played for a long time. Like, he made 2 finals last year. He made his first final ever on the Euro Tour last weekend. Not last weekend, the weekend before. And then he's gone and won a night in the Premier League. I mean, I'm not sure it's that much of an issue because it is working, but I do see your point.
Eric Bristow came back and won a world championship.
Yeah. I see your point that, that line could become blurred between can I just not let it go? But I think it's just, I'm not wasting a dart by throwing it when it's not ready. And I don't really care if I have to take a bit longer because I don't really care what the crowd making noise, whatever. He just plays his game anyway. He doesn't let it affect him. And like I say, the number of times it worked perfectly. That it took him maybe 3-4 times to actually get it in his hand and properly and release it. But when he released it, he hit the double or he hit the treble, and it worked.
Do we think that again that will affect long term because he is a bit of a rhythm player? If you're having to constantly stop and regroup, I just think there's so much to this aside from the fact that he's got to stop and go again.
Yeah, from what I've seen, no, that doesn't concern me because it doesn't seem to be an issue. And I'll be honest, if there's one player or a few players that you would think of that it would be an issue for who are rhythm players, like we know Gezzy's not really a rhythm player. Gezzy can drop a dart, pick it up, and then throw it perfectly, and it doesn't really matter to him. But someone like Michael Smith or like Nathan, who once that first one goes, and they generally throw it a little bit faster after that first one goes in and do it, you would think he's one of the ones that it would affect more, but it doesn't seem to. And he's playing still to a really high level.
Interesting. Well, let's hear from tonight's winner then. We've got a short clip to play from our post-match interview with Nathan Aspinall.
Very tough. People don't understand what I've been through. Not just this week, but the last 2 or 3 months. Very tough, personally. I went to speak to, I'm not embarrassed to say it, I went to speak to someone like Sean, fantastic. He's done miracles with me. I pulled out of Wigan and spent some quality time with my family. My kid's grown about 3 inches since the last time I saw her. Went Blackpool, Michael went Vegas, Gezzy went Tenerife, I went sunny old Blackpool. But it was fantastic. Spent a bit of time with my family. I've not threw a dart since last Thursday, and just got refreshed and kind of realised why I'm doing all this for. I'm doing all this for my family and for us to all have a better life. And I just turned up this week thinking, you know what, it could be worse. It could be could be turning up on I've never been a builder, I was an accountant, but I could turn up on a building site for 60 quid. I'm playing in front of 10,000, 11,000 people. Just go in there and enjoy yourself and relax. And that's what I've done, and I tried to enjoy myself tonight, and I come out on top. And yeah, after the week I've had, what a result. Yeah.
I'll touch on what you said in your Sky interview as well. You said you didn't know if you wanted to play on the stage again after last week. Was it really that bad? And look, we've seen you do many great things on that stage, the highs and the lows, but that's quite something to run through your mind that you didn't know if you want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's been bad. I'm dealing with it. There's clearly been a flaw in my throw, as everyone can see, the world can see. There's been an issue in my throw. I'm dealing with it. I'm working with the right people to sort this thing out. And I've just won a Premier League night, beating world number 3, world number 2, and world number 7 with a flaw in my throw. So imagine how good I'll be when it's all bang on.
Interesting that he acknowledges it without saying it. I hate just chucking the word around, but pretty much everybody watching or listening knows what it is. Someone mentioned in the chat room earlier. I think the minute there's a bit of a hoodoo around it. If like you say someone's got the yips in golf,
yeah,
like, well, that's it.
Or the word shank, yeah.
And it's such a difficult topic to talk about when the player is still active.
Yeah.
Like to talk about, God rest his soul, Eric Bristow, you could talk about how it affected him and the things he did, but when you consider someone like Bo Greaves, who clearly had issues with her throw, and now Nathan Aspinall and a couple of others in and around the game, you're a bit like, well, I don't want to sit here and call it out for what it is. Because if they ever sit there and listen to it, in their head they're thinking, well, they know I'm messed up, or the more and more you listen to people saying, no, that's wrong, the more and more you're going to take that on board. And it's a bit catch-22, I think, in terms of having a discussion around players that are clearly struggling with their action to the same extent that Nathan is.
Well, yeah, like I say, he called it a flaw, didn't he? Like, and sort of play it down that there's not that much wrong and it's just a little tweak. But he also seemed pretty positive in that he said, I'm still good enough to win a Premier League night, being probably two of the top 3 in the world and the world number 7 to do it, and then also think how good I'm going to be if I get this little thing tweaked and I'm working with the right people. Yeah, Sean, whoever he is, this mythical being that is now Sean. When he started that bit of the interview, I just thought he was just going to say exactly who he was, like his full name. But no, he's just left it at Sean. Just leave everyone guessing.
But again, do we think that's a refusal of putting it out there as much as he can? Like, all anybody knows about this person that he's working with is he's called Sean. Yeah. He hasn't told you what he's worked on. He hasn't told you anything. Is he a darts coach? Is he helping him with a mechanic of his throw? Is he a sports psychologist helping him with the mental aspect of the game, etc.? Like, there's still illusions at the minute. Every single piece of information is about that. It becomes a tool to beat Nathan Aspinall with.
Yeah.
Convinced of it.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. To be fair.
Yeah. So
I sort of think his interview there has probably completely turned me off everything I've just said about his throw and his action for the last 10 minutes before that when I was waffling on as well. But that's the thing, that when we're sat on here, we don't see the clip until everyone else does either, so we don't actually know what's been said.
I can't lie, PB had put a couple of comments in before he put it in going, yeah, listen to this.
Yeah, but I'm on the iPad and the chat doesn't just pop up at the side.
Shocking. Anyway, right, let's look ahead to next week then. Chat room, you know this is where we get involved. Cam, we're already at 45 minutes. Let's get to bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah.
Just who you think is going to win. Starting with Michael Smith against Chris Dobey. As we head to Leeds, by the way, Brad's neck of the country.
Nearly just offended half of the viewers. Yeah, wrong side of the Pennines. We'll just say that. We'll just rather than what I was about to say.
But the other side the week after, mate, and they're both dull.
Yeah, the proper side. Yeah, so I just think this is Chris Dobey again, that he plays well, averages a good average, decent on his doubles, and loses 6-4 again.
I hate this slot because I hate this slot when there's events this weekend. I think how they play on the Euro Tour is going to be a massive part in any prediction beyond this, which is probably why between Thursday and Monday, when I then do this on the live lounge with Phil and Lee, my opinion is very likely to change. As it sits right now, I actually think Chris Dobey's playing better darts.
Maybe, but again, I don't know. I just think Bully's just more consistent, and the scoring power is just a little bit better.
When Dobey doesn't hit his maximums, 100%. However, I'm going to go Dobey, and I'm going 6-4. Flashed a few up on screen for you guys.
It's like being on with Dan Simpson again.
Matthew said Smith 6-3. Martin says Dobey 6-3, and Paul says Bully Boy wins 6-3. Match number 2, Michael Van Gerwen against Peter Wright.
Sorry?
No, I predicted Peter Wright would beat Van Gerwen.
Hang on. You've missed out match number 2.
No, I haven't.
Have you not?
Wright versus Van Gerwen.
Oh, hang on. On mine, it's got them both at the same time, so they clearly didn't know which one was going to be which. But mine's got Price Clayton first.
No, that's third, and then Aspinall Vandenberg last.
Ah, right. Well, there we go then. Take it back.
Michael Van Gerwen against Peter Wright. Your prediction, please.
That's just there's 6. It's 6 for Van Gerwen, and however generous you're feeling for Peter Wright. So 6-1.
The point I made on Monday night's show was that Van Gerwen is lacking concentration right now, I think, which apparently is lazy journalism, but it just is. He's just not switched on right now. He's not performing to the level that he can. And there is nothing more Peter Wright loves in the world than beating and winding up Michael Van Gerwen. Maybe
so, but he's just not playing well enough.
Correct. Especially after tonight. So I'm still going to back Van Gerwen. I would say 6-3. I think he gets a couple more legs. On the chat room, Martin says MVG wins 6-2. Matthew says MVG 6-2. Paul says MVG wins 6-4. And Bob says MVG 6-4. Pretty one-sided in this one. Repeat of tonight's first semi-final comes in our third quarter-final next week, the all-Welsh clash between Gerwen Price and Johnny Clayton, which, given tonight's result, has a lot of significance now on Johnny Clayton, despite the fact that he's been playing pretty solid the last few weeks, back-to-back wins in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. It has been playing pretty solid, but it's just not sure he's just not playing well enough. And I don't even think particularly on the nights that he won, he actually played all that well. Sort of just Johnny Clayton his way through them without sort of setting the world alight, but just hitting the shots at the right time. But I just think against Gezi, you don't get the opportunity. It's not the way he's scoring at the moment. And I think we see something very similar to what we saw tonight. 6-3 Price.
Isn't this the period of time where Gerwen Price now misses the next block of Euro Tours because he wasn't in the top 16 and then didn't go to the qualifiers? Johnny Clayton will be in all of those as far as I'm aware, as well as this being the stupid part of the season where they go from Amsterdam to Austria, back to the UK, then back to the Netherlands for Euro Tour, rather than Austria and the Netherlands being the other way round.
Yes, I mean, there's not a huge amount of distance between them, though. Is there really? Like, they're not going to New York and then back to the Netherlands, are they? Like, Austria's half an hour further away
on plane, which back in and out. Whereas if this was Amsterdam, you just stay in the Netherlands for a night and go there. No flight.
No, it's not that far though, is it? Come on, they're not being asked to do that much. And they're being paid handsomely for it. It's hardly putting them out really having to travel half an hour.
It's logistically bad. Anyway,
no, it's not that bad.
Score prediction.
6-3, I said, didn't I?
I don't know. I'm going Gezi as well. I'm going 6-4, a little bit tighter than you. Our final game of the evening, Nathan Aspinall against Dimitri Vandenberg. Repeat of a semi-final. Once again, this bottom half was tonight's semi-finals.
Yep. So
Love this Premier League for that. Just throws up these rematches that we never ever expected we'd ever see again.
Yeah. Nathan wins again. He wins 6-4 because he's just playing better than Dimmy is, and gets himself a couple more points on the way towards making the top 4.
Interesting. I'm going Aspinall as well, which really does throw up that race to the top 4. I'm going to say he wins this one 6-3. Sorry, chat room, I did skip from Gezi. So Bob says Gezi beats Johnny 6-5. Martin says Price wins 6-2. Paul says Gezi's winning last leg to side at 6-5. That will really hurt Johnny given the race to the top 4 right now. And Andrew says Price 6-3. Sam says Gezi away for a big Scottish piss-up weekend. Seeing these off to do a few exhibitions up there. And in the final game of the night, Martin's got Dimitri to win 6-4. Matthew's got Asp to win 6-3. Andrew's got Asp to win 6-4. And Paul says Aspinall to win 6-3.
The Sean factor's got everyone in Asp's corner.
Mm-hmm. From your 4, who wins next week?
I think Gerwen Price beats Michael Van Gerwen in the final.
I'm going to...
Unless there's a draft and he's crying like a baby again.
I'm going to contradict myself a bit here. Because on Monday I said I didn't think anyone else won a night for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, it's fine. It's not a contradiction. Because the other two to not have won a night are Peter Wright and Dimitri, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Chris Dobey beats Gerwen Price in the final.
Bold. Very bold.
Just think he's
solid.
He's got the numbers there. And if any crowd are going to get on Gezi's back again, I think it will be Leeds.
Yeah. And like I say, there might be Brad on the doors, just opening them in the corner. I don't know.
Not quite, but if any,
to be honest, it's in Yorkshire. They're probably too tight to pay for doors. To be fair, and now I've offended everyone. There we go. We're done.
I just think Leeds as a crowd and as an arena size and shape is one of the more patriotically English.
Yes. And they've got to shout for somebody.
In Nottingham,
they've got nothing to shout for.
Not spend £7 a pint. In Leeds, they want to see an Englishman win.
Yeah, and like I said, they've got to shout for somebody because they're not shouting. There's no cheering going on at Leeds these days, so they've got.
Right, and now we've offended absolutely everybody.
Everyone, right? Anyone else getting it before we go?
No, that's it.
United, they were rubbish tonight as well.
Who were rubbish?
United.
Funny though, isn't it? A big thank you to everybody for tuning in this evening. And if you're listening back on Catch Up as a podcast from myself, wait. Monday night, the Live Lounge returns. Myself, Phil Bars, and I believe Lee Boyce is back from his birthday jolly.
His birthday. Oh, whatever it was that the Bars kept saying.
When he missed a few weeks ago, we said he was having an operation, and now he's looking for a checkup.
Yeah,
he's not. Especially as I'm missing one in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, let's not go too far with those excuses. A big thank you to everybody in the chat room for joining us. We appreciate it. Is getting a bit late. Yeah, Bob, mine as well. My prediction will be very difficult on Monday evening because there is a Euro Tour this weekend in Austria starting
Not only
tomorrow.
that, you just like to give yourself enough opportunities to be right at least once.
Precisely. Austria Euro Tour this weekend, Friday through to Sunday. Motor Super Series, I think, is still in action right now. We'll return again tomorrow afternoon. Don't forget that has new timings on Thursday and Friday ahead of Saturday night's finals once again. Live Lounge returns on Monday. Make sure you're following us across all of our socials to keep up with everything darts between now and then. If you want to see that Nathan Aspinall interview in full, it will be on our YouTube channel in the morning. We're going to hold off as it is just gone past midnight, and we think it's worth waiting for. So we're going to drop that one tomorrow, and that is pretty much everything from us, from myself, Jack Garwood, and from Cam McFarlane. Thank you very much for joining us here at the Fallout Bar, and we will see you all very, very soon.